Jalik Keene of Bar Harbor is under arrest and charged with the death of Michaela Conley of Bar Harbor. Conley reported missing on Friday. Her body was found in the street in Bar Harbor over the weekend.
Accused of killing a 19-year-old woman did not enter a plea at his first court appearance this morning. Jalik Keene is charged with murdering Michaela Conley. Conley was reported missing last Friday, and right now police are not releasing her cause of death.
21-year-old Jalik Keene remains in jail, charged with the murder of Michaela Conley. The two went to MDI High School together, where Keene was a running back for the school's football team, until the winter of the 2014-15 school year, when Keene transferred to Falmouth High School to finish up his senior year. Quinn McClaney, a New Center, Maine summer job shadow, was in several classes with Keene.
He just instantly made friends and became really popular, and anytime he talked to me in my class, he was always just really kind to me and to everyone.
While at Falmouth High School, Keene made the honor roll and was a standout on the track team. News that he was arrested and charged with Conley's murder came as a big shock to McClaney.
It was just so unexpected to see something like that from him, because he never showed any sort of signs of that type of behavior.
Also surprised by Keene's arrest was his former football coach in Serbia. Keene had been playing for the Kraljevo Royal Crowns. According to his coach, he left on May 28th. Less than a week later, Conley's body was found by police. Keene has been in trouble with the law twice before. In 2012, when he was 15, and in 2016, he was arrested for giving alcohol to minors. Police still aren't saying how Conley was killed or what they think the motive is. Shannon Moss, News Center, Maine.
Jury selection process has begun in the trial of a man charged with sexually assaulting and murdering a teenager from Bar Harbor nearly a year ago.
Jalik Keene pleaded not guilty to killing 19-year-old Michaela Conley back in September. Now, lawyers for both the prosecution and the defense are choosing the 12 jurors to hear the case.
News Center Samantha Sugarman was in the courtroom today as the jury selection got underway. She joins us now from Ellsworth. Samantha.
Now, Jalik Keene has been charged with raping and killing Michaela Conley, a Bar Harbor resident and former high school classmate, the night of May 31st last year. According to court documents in this case, Keene and Conley had been drinking together on the playground of an elementary school in Bar Harbor earlier in the evening. Keene later told investigators he last saw Conley at that playground alive, but video surveillance police obtained from the scene tells a very different story. Keene dragging Conley's body to the wooded area near the playground. Her body was later discovered by a search party in that area, and that was 2 days later. Now, the jury selection process will continue. It's still going on right now as I speak until those 12 jurors and some alternates are also chosen. It's still unclear exactly how long that could take, but I'm told the trial itself will take about a week. For now, reporting in Ellsworth, I'm Samantha Sugarman, News Center, Maine.
All right, Samantha, thank you very much.
Details this afternoon on a murder in Bar Harbor. In court documents, investigators reveal that Jalik Keene was recorded on a security camera dragging Michaela Conley's lifeless body across a school playground toward a wooded area. Her body was later found in that spot. Police say she died of blunt force trauma to her head and strangulation. He remains held without bail.
Police say the body of a murdered Bar Harbor teenager was dragged by the wrists across a school playground, and they have it on video.
It is one of many disturbing details revealed in a new affidavit from Maine State Police accusing Jalik Keene of murdering Michaela Conley on June 1st. News Center's Dustin Vlkowski is following the story for us. And Dustin, what do police think happened here?
Well, Pat and Cindy, an entire timeline of events was released in this affidavit. The document says Conley and Keene went to the playground area at the Connors Emerson School and ended up having sex. Afterwards, Keene told investigators in an interview that he and Conley got in a physical altercation, but he left the playground, never seeing her again. Detectives say a surveillance video contradicts that statement. State police say they've reviewed security footage showing Keene picking Conley up over his shoulder and walking off with her kicking. This would have happened around 3:36 a.m. the morning of June 1st. The detective writing the affidavit went on to say that at 7:05 a.m., Keene comes out from around a row of bushes, holding Conley by the wrists, dragging her to the area where her body was found. Keene was arrested earlier this month. Conley's family owns the Two Cats Inn and Restaurant in Bar Harbor. The news of Conley's murder has rattled the community there. A celebration of her life, Pat and Cindy, is planned at the restaurant tomorrow.
Thank you, Dustin.
The testimony began today in the trial of Jalik Keene, a young man charged with raping and killing his former classmate, 19-year-old Michaela Conley, in Bar Harbor last summer.
The jury heard opening statements and they heard testimony from a number of witnesses for the prosecution. News Center Samantha Sugarman is covering the trial for us. Sam?
Lee and Cindy, I've been here at Hancock Superior Court all day listening to testimony from nearly a dozen witnesses for the prosecution. This morning began, though, with opening statements where each side laid out its case to the jurors. That's made up of 9 females and 3 males. But it was nearly 30 family members and friends of the victim that packed the courtroom this morning as opening statements got underway. The state spoke first, detailing Jaliek Keen's behavior after Michaela Connelly went missing. He went to Connelly's house unannounced, speaking with her mother, and gave tips to the search party when they went out looking for the teen. The state also told the jury its case will prove that Jaliek Keen's DNA was found under Connelly's fingernails and in her genitals, and only his DNA. In its opening statements, the defense says there's a 3 to 4 hour window of time where the prosecution's surveillance video from the scene does not show the duo together, but that video that has been obtained is jarring in description.
In that video, they saw the defendant, Jaliek Keen, dragging Michaela's lifeless body by her arms as her toes dragged behind him across the pavement. Her lifeless head flopped, her hair swayed, and her body bounced as he dragged her along.
Connelly's stepfather and mother also testified this afternoon, with Connelly's mother admitting that her daughter and Keen did become friends as they grew older. But her stepfather, Ernie Geiger, he testified this afternoon and said, quote, "I knew that he had an interest in her and she was not interested in him," that being Keen and his stepdaughter, Michaela Connelly. So in the next half hour, I'll have more information, as well as you'll hear from Keen's defense attorney on as far as how she thinks this trial is going so far, as well as how her client thinks it's going. For now, I'll send things back to you, Cindy and Lee.
All right, Samantha, thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Pat Callahan in for Lee Nelson.
And I'm Lindsay Mills in for Cindy Williams. We begin tonight with breaking news. The jury has reached a verdict in the case of Jaliek Keen, guilty of raping and murdering 19-year-old Michaela Connelly last year in Bar Harbor.
Let's get out to Sean Stackhouse, who was at the courthouse in Ellsworth, where that verdict has just been rendered in the last 10 minutes or so. Sean?
Pat and Lindsay, that's right. Just about 10 minutes ago, the verdict was reached, and that verdict being guilty on all counts. Jaliek Keen was found guilty for the 2018 rape and murder of the 19-year-old Michaela Connelly.
All right, let's check some other news we're following. This is sentencing day for the man found guilty of raping and murdering a former high school classmate. Jaliek Keen killed Michaela Connelly last year. She was just 19. Court documents show Keen and Connelly had been drinking together on the playground of an elementary school in Bar Harbor on the night of the murder. Keen told police that he had last seen Connelly at the playground alive, but video surveillance showed Keen dragging Connelly's body into the woods near the playground, and her body was discovered in that area 2 days later.
The Bar Harbor man convicted of raping and killing 19-year-old Michaela Connelly sentenced to 58 years in prison. Jaliek Keen was seen on surveillance video carrying Connelly over his shoulder as she tried to fight back, and then later carrying her into the woods. The two had been classmates.
Jaliek Keen, who was just 22 years old, has been sentenced to 58 years for the rape and murder of a former high school classmate and friend.
His victim was 19-year-old Michaela Connelly, described today as a young woman with an enormous heart. News Center Maine's Jackie Mundry was in the courtroom on a day of raw emotion.
June 2nd, 2018 is the day that changed my life forever. The day my daughter's life was cut short. The day Michaela was taken from us.
A day that changed the lives of 2 young people and 2 Bar Harbor families.
There are no words to describe what we have gone through this past year, 3 months and 10 days.
Friends and family of Michaela Connelly and Jaliek Keen spoke emotionally to the court on Wednesday morning. Keen's family apologizing. Connelly's friends remembering the 19-year-old.
To be a part of her life was the truest blessing I will ever see, let alone hold.
Convicted of the rape and murder, Keen also spoke in court and in handcuffs.
No amount of words will be able to express my sorrow for the loss of such a beautiful soul.
Keen went on to say that he takes responsibility for his actions, but will never plead guilty because of the way prosecutors portrayed him. He says he is not a monster and was not, quote, in love with or, quote, obsessed with Connelly, but that he had love for her.
You said such awful things about me, but I had no problem with a 100-year sentence. Michaela was worth 10 times that amount.
Keene was ultimately sentenced to 58 years for Conley's murder and 30 years for her rape to be served overlapping. The state recommended a life sentence.
We understand that the sentence that was imposed in this case will result in him being in prison until his 70s, and that's a very long time for a young man who will now miss out on his entire youth.